You're watching Fantasy Now Plus.
What's up, everybody? Tim Holstad here, back with you on Fantasy Now Plus for some more best ball drafts here on Underdog. It's just about 1 week away from the combine. I think it starts the 23rd, so 8 days from now. And this is pretty much the last week or so that you're going to be able to draft some of these rookies at the prices that they're at. They almost always jump after the combine. Some people just get a huge boost because of their athleticism. And, you know, if you think you know who those players will be, if you think that you have a good idea of what players are going to crush it at the combine and what prices that you feel comfortable taking them at, now's the time to draft them. So I'm excited, get into some underdog drafts. Probably going to be doing some little boards today. Still need to get my full 20 done. I think I've done like 12 or something like that so far, but have plenty of drafts to get into. We'll be around for a couple hours for sure. So if you're new to Underdog, have never played, want to get in on the action, and you have not already, as you can see here down below, you can use the promo code FNPLUS, that's FNPLUS, and when you play $5, you will get $75 in bonus funds to use on whatever your heart desires. Could be drafts, it could be champions, it could be anything, but definitely use that code if you haven't already. Join us. I am going to go ahead and hop us into a draft here. Hopefully it lets me and doesn't give me a notification. And here we go. Hopping into a little board. Oh, maybe. Okay. Give me a second here, folks. Okay, that was weird. How y'all doing today? Feels weird that football is gone for the next 6 or 7 months for sure, but we're going to be here with you the whole time. I'll be drafting tons of best ball all summer. We have lots of Dynasty content coming out. If you've checked out our channel recently, you'll see we've had team review videos coming out, not necessarily daily, but every couple of days or so, going through every single team for fantasy, seeing how players did, how the team finished as a whole, kind of just giving you a recap, helping you to remember what happened during the fantasy season as you go into this off season. So definitely check those out if you haven't already. And if you're new here, please like and subscribe the video. It helps us a lot. We appreciate all of your support. It's going to be a very fun summer. I am looking forward to this a lot. Looking forward to chatting with y'all in Discord, chatting here on YouTube, and looking forward to 4 more people hopping into this little board eventually. But for now, we're going to hang out, wait until it fills. I've recently updated my rankings to kind of more accurately reflect ADP here on Underdog. There's definitely been some changes. And, you know, there's players that I certainly have stands on, but I also don't have a ton of players that I want to full fade, especially, drafting some small portfolio. It definitely feels bad to just have 0% of any player unless you're just truly convinced you're right. But I I definitely do still think there's some points in the draft and there's some prices in the market that are wrong personally. And I have my ranks somewhat set to combat that. I think a lot of the veteran running backs are going way too low still. Um, James Conner, Alvin Kamara, even players like Tajay Spears, just that whole range really of running backs, going in like the 140s, the 150s. I think it's just too low. These guys, we don't know if they're going to be starters for sure, but they're going to have jobs. They're going to play almost certainly. So in that regard, I think they're too cheap. We're drafting them around some players that could just score 0 points for you or could just be pure handcuffs and pure backups. So definitely like the vets so far early in big board season and little board season. Any players that y'all think are underpriced, overpriced, undraftable, definitely leave them in the comments down below. We can talk through them for sure. I've got the 109 here, and for me, it's pretty much, am I going to get Amon-Ra or CD there? If I don't, then it's going to be a running back for sure. Running backs are still going hot and heavy here in the early parts of these drafts. What's up? The 112. We're a few picks apart from each other. This will be fun. What's up, Fantasy Meatball? Thanks for tuning in. Happy to be drafting. Excited to be in here. It's best ball summer. It may be winter still, but it's best ball summer already. And we are pumped to be doing this. I love drafting. I love best ball. Definitely keeps me on my toes all year round. It helps me tremendously as a dynasty player as well. Just being able to see, how the market values a player at any given time. Being able to see what kind of perception of people that are drafting daily, that are head in their spreadsheets, head in the news, seeing how those things affect how people evaluate players. We will see what happens. So I get CeeDee Lamb at 109. Quite happy with that. Happy to take him. Nice. So we've got both ends here in this draft. Little friends and family, the 101 and the 112. Well, I'll be doing another draft after this, so if you want to hop in or if you can, I'll definitely let you know and count you down a little bit as we're going. I do like Amon-Ra. I would have taken him over Lamb if he was there. He obviously went at 107, but I think he's just underrated. He's steady. He scores a lot of fantasy points. He's still going to be the primary target in his offense. And, people get kind of bored of him, I think. I think he's not going to really ever be like the wide receiver one in a season. But I think he's going to be a top 4 to 8 wide receiver every single season as long as he's healthy. And I'm going to take Devon Achane here. He's starting to fall a bit. I think people are definitely nervous about that Dolphins offense. Totally get that sentiment for sure. I just think he's too good to fade entirely. He catches passes. He's a top 3 speed running back in football. He's proven that he can handle a full workload now. He's really only had a couple minor injuries, a concussion or two. Yes, Mike McDaniel is gone. That's concerning, but it doesn't mean that he's just dead for fantasy. It just means that he's a little sketchier. And, you know, I still like his profile better than any running back that goes after him. And I'd say it's honestly pretty similar to like Genty or CMC. I really I don't get the full fade that people are having on Achan, but this is probably the second or third draft in the past week where I've seen him fall relatively deep into the second round. I don't agree with it. I'm going to take him there every single time, especially with how running back hungry the market is in general. So we've got RJD here going with Josh Jacobs and Brock Bowers. Getting Brock Bowers in the third feels excellent. Totally agree. Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to be a bad offense, like full stop, but Achan has produced despite it being a bad offense before. So quarterback's certainly a question mark. We'll see how they resolve that, if they can resolve that. I'm not super confident in that, but definitely I just like to bet on talent this early in the off season. There's so many unknowns, and when push comes to shove, talent usually outproduces anything else. A lot of wide receivers going here. I still really like Bucky. I think folks are kind of bailing on him pretty early. I'm going to take Bucky here, get my second running back. I do think the landscape has kind of shifted in best ball this year. It's pretty running back heavy up here. It used to be very much wide receiver dominant, and you had maybe 12 running backs through the first 3 rounds, and now we're in the 18 to 20 range pretty consistently goes through 3 rounds. So I certainly think you can build a zero RB team, but I prefer to be a bit more balanced through the first 4 to 5 rounds. Um, Try not to be fully inflexible. Sorry about that, folks. Internet just crashed. Give me a second. Okay. Fully agree on Bucky here. I just everything went wrong for Tampa Bay for sure. Um, it was a nightmare, really. I think a lot of it just kind of came down to everything that could go wrong went wrong for Tampa. Got Matthew Stafford going in the fourth here. That's very early for him, but I guess if he really wants to stack with Puka, he can. That's not how I would do it, but I'm not necessarily right either. But either way, Love Bucky in the third. Think he bounces back. I don't think Tampa is going to invest a ton of time into drafting someone with high capital. Now taking 3 quarterbacks. So weird stuff going on at the 2 hole, but what can you do? But either way, love Bucky. I think he still has the talent. I think he still will be the primary back. A lot of weird stuff happened last year. He lost some goal line work, but there's a chance that neither Sean Tucker or Rashad White are on this team. And I'm willing to take that shot in the third because I know that he can score points when given the opportunity. And if that opportunity arises, then we're sitting pretty here. AJ Brown in the fourth. Love that. I think he's certainly starting to drop off a little bit. I have Cam Scadaboo ranked way higher than this. I will definitely be taking him here at 57. Feel good about that trio of running backs. But I definitely think that, AJ Brown is going to still be a top 24 wide receiver for sure. That's where I'm drafting him right now. Like, he is not being drafted as he has to be a top 12 wide receiver anymore, especially in the third round. Eagles offense was just a mess in general. Time will kind of tell whether that fixes itself with a new offensive coordinator, but there's also a chance AJ Brown's not an Eagle. We'll see how that works out. But either way, I think it's worth taking your shots on AJ Brown on all of this Eagles offense, really, because they've proven that they are a great team when everything is humming. And last season, frankly, everything did not hum and the results were not great, but does not mean that it's prescriptive for what happens this season. See a couple comments. We'll get to them as soon as we make the pick. I do like Christian Watson, Rome Odunze. Part of me also likes Hurts stacked. I think I am going to take it, especially with the 2 hole doing some weird stuff with quarterback. Don't want to get fully shut out there. Got a question here from Savo. Got a guy obsessed with Mendoza in my league. I got 1-1, 1-2, and 1-5. He offered Pickens, 110, and Kyle Pitts. I smash accept, right? Quarterbacks are May, Goff, Cam Ward, and Aaron Rodgers. And that was offered for the 102. Absolutely. I am not a Mendoza believer at all. If you follow me on Blue Sky, you'll know that I have said that there are 4 prospects in this 2026 draft class that I like. It's Jeremiah Love, and it's the top 3 wide receivers: Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon. Everyone else after that, I think, is a pure rookie shot in the dark, including Mendoza, including Kenyon Sadiq. I said on Blue Sky, Kenyon Sadiq would have been my tight end 4 in last year's class. And Mendoza, he would have been my quarterback 2 behind Cam Ward, but Cam Ward wasn't very high for me either. I think it's truly just neither of them, both Ward and Mendoza, but especially Mendoza, I just don't think he's going to run all that much in the NFL. We have a quarterback hoarder here at the 2 hole. If things get much weirder past the 5th, I do fear this draft might be thrown out. He's not doing anything fully terrible yet. Obviously this is terrible, but it is not ideal. But it also helps me. So we'll see. If he takes any more than 5, 5's kind of like auto drafter with weird ranks, especially if you set your positional limit at 5 for quarterback. So if he continues to take quarterbacks past this, then I do fear that this draft might be thrown out the window. But for now, we'll see how it works. Because quarterback is becoming weird, I'm just going to take Jackson Dart and feel totally fine with it. He's stacked with Scattaboo. Totally agree. I think Hurts bounces back. This is a guy that averages like 15 rushing touchdowns a season when everything goes right. Regardless of what happens with his passing, there hasn't really been talk of banning the tush push again this season so far. Could still happen, but he can still run the ball even if the tush push is gone. Tush push kind of got nerfed anyways, mostly by how bad their offensive line was, but I kind of expect Howie Roseman to fix that in an offseason. I don't see how much worse their offensive coordinator could get at this point. So do I think they're back to being like Super Bowl champions? Not sure. It's hard to predict that, but it's certainly something that I'm willing to entertain and happy to see what happens for sure. We went Dart there. Like I said, quarterback's getting wild on the other side of the board. Don't really want to deal with that. By ADP, it's Ricky Pearsall. My rankings have Stephon Diggs right at his ADP. Yeah, let's take Diggs. So far through 8 rounds, we have a 2-3-3-0. Jalen Hurts and Jackson Dart, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, and Cam Scattaboo, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs. Yeah. It would be interesting if we could trade on Underdog, but unfortunately you draft what you draft and then you're done. So he's going to stick with those 5 quarterbacks and he's going to start 1 a week. So fine by me, easier for me to advance. Hopefully he just doesn't go to such an extreme that the draft itself gets canceled entirely. Yeah, definitely going receiver there. Probably going receiver with my next few picks. Don't really like any of the running backs in the range that we're in now. Go back to the board. Another reason that I kind of took Dart was specifically because Dak went to him. So didn't have a chance of stacking with Lamb. Didn't really want to play around with it. Dart and Hurts are both quarterbacks that I feel totally comfortable with unstacked, but I can also backstack Dart later. Hurts is stacked with AJ Brown, at least for now. But even if that stops, I think it'll be totally fine because his value is not from throwing the ball that much. So I am having internet problems galore today. Sorry about that, folks. Thanks for bearing with me. Took Jordan Addison in the 9th. Do think he's underpriced, even though the quarterback situation's not fun. We will see what comes back to us here. Wouldn't mind Dalton Kincaid. I'd be okay with Blake Corum. I also think that the combo of Jennings, Shakir, Reed are also way too cheap. Let's take Kincaid here, a little bit after ADP. Get my first tight end. Feel totally good about that. Yeah, don't know what's going on with my internet. Sorry. Hopefully it stops happening, but it might keep happening a couple times. Yeah, considered Kincaid simply because of where he was priced at, but I also feel totally fine just continuing to punt on tight end when the opportunity arises for it. I usually go 3 tight ends anyways, no matter what. I think 4 tight ends is even somewhat acceptable, especially in the little board / big board where you've got 20 rounds instead of 18. Get that 2 extra roster spots. I like Kincaid. I think he's talented, isn't necessary. Like, he's talented as a football player. I don't think he's a first round pick level tight end. I think the Bills made a mistake taking him where they did, but doesn't really matter. That's hindsight. He's a Bill. He's still kind of their number one option at this point. I don't really trust that the Bills front office is going to be able to fix their receiver option. So, appreciate it, folks. Appreciate everyone sticking with me. Yeah, there's a lot of great value at tight end. I love Juwan Johnson. I love Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson would be great for this team as well, especially stacked with Jackson Dart. There's some rookies down the board that are fun that I like clicking. I think Travis Kelce's going to play next season. He's very cheap. So there's lots of options at tight end for sure. The one that I'm not clicking is George Kittle. I've talked about it with several other folks. I'm going to take Chris Godwin here because he is cheap and he continues to add to my very, very mature wide receiver. That feels great. Wide receiver room of CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, and Chris Godwin. Definitely going to keep adding. This is now about the time where I'm going to start thinking about my 4th running back. As you can see, most of ADP and most of the ranks are running back heavy. But yeah, as far as George Kittle, he tore his Achilles 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, something like that now. He's 34 years old. I understand that he's still like a great tight end. He probably will still be a solid tight end when he comes back, but I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know how good he's going to be when he comes back. It just doesn't feel great to me. I would rather take my shots on basically any other tight end in this range. I really like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt as a nice shot. Obviously, Washington could draft somebody, but I think the reality with Washington is like we all kind of forgot how good JCM was when he played on a functional offense. And he had the most 20-point fantasy games of any rookie running back last season, including Ashton Genty. And I just think that he's talented. They traded away Brian Robinson for a reason. He certainly could be replaced or supplemented. He does not have draft capital attached to him. The offensive coordinator is different going into this season, but I think Bill is a solid young player. He could improve. And I don't think Washington has the ability really or the luxury to take a running back early in this draft. There's not many running backs worth taking early in this draft, for one. But I do think that he's probably more talented than like any running back in this class going on day 3, just out of the gate. That's how bad this rookie running back class is to me. So yeah, I think this is a solid range for JCM. I think he could easily have the starting job, but I also don't think he'll just be phased out entirely. I don't think this is just like a flash in the pan and they're done type scenario. I think they like him. I think their offense was broken. He definitely doesn't catch. He most likely will get supplemented to some extent by a pass catcher, but in half PPR, catching's not that big a deal to me this far down the board. I want someone who could score touchdowns, and in an offense with Jaden Daniels, he has the ability to. This could absolutely be wrong, though. Like, he's going in the multi-digit rounds for a reason. Like, he's not a sure thing. I'm not going to draft him like he's a sure thing by any stretch. But I do think he's a shot worth taking for sure. Strange would have been interesting. I don't know how to feel about him. I am on the clock. I love J.K. Dobbins. I'll happily take J.K. Dobbins. I think he's back with the Broncos, and I think he kind of just takes the job back from RJ Harvey. Like, they didn't really seem to like what Harvey was giving them down the stretch. He wasn't particularly impressive one way or another. You know, he has second round draft capital. He's not going to just lose the job, but I do think that Dobbins gives Sean Payton more of what he's looking for in like a primary running back, and Dobbins has said that he really wants to be back. So he'll be cheap for the team. He's going to get some goal line work. He's going to get some passing work. He's going to mix into a rotation on what projects to be a pretty strong offense. So I do not hate Dobbins here at all. I like the selection on the board here. Whoever falls to me. There's a couple players I have my eyes on. I like the fallers of Shaheed. I do think I'm going to go Theo Johnson, though. Get him stacked with Jackson Dart. Get my second tight end. I think he takes a leap. And frankly, he was kind of Dart's favorite target in the red zone last year. When Dart actually threw in the red zone, that is. Obviously, he tried to run way too much. We'll see how reined in he can get that way. But I like Theo's upside. He was an athletic Penn State freak. He still is that. He has talent, you know. In a best ball format, I like just taking shots on athletic tight ends that have chemistry with their quarterbacks and have some touchdown upside. Is he going to be the tight end one ever? No. But he could easily give you a top 5 weekly performance. That's really all you need in best ball in any given week, especially in the playoff weeks where all the money is won. You need someone who can spike. Johnson has that upside to spike. He can give you a 2-touchdown game relatively easily. Could break a big play here or there. So really, really like getting Theo there. I had to pass on some ADP fallers, but I think getting a very balanced team here through 14 rounds was worth it for me. Got a 2-5-5-2. Jalen Hurts, Jackson Dart, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, Cam Scadaboo, Bill Krosky-Merritt, J.K. Dobbins, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, Dalton Kincaid, and Theo Johnson. Yeah, love Dobbins. Kind of impressive how far back he's come from just the brutal injury history that he's had. Let's see here. We're at 177. I could go any direction here. I feel good about just about anyone in this range. I'm gonna go Trey Harris, a little ahead of ADP, but second round wide receiver in his second year. Good offense that we are hoping for the Chargers. Keenan Allen is probably gone. Even if he's not, it's not the end of the world, but Harris has talent. I like to make bets on talent. I think he did flash in very limited usage last year. We are just hoping that his usage increases and that Keenan is not a Charger anymore. How likely that is, I'm not sure, but we are not sure about anything. That's why we're drafting right now. We are embracing chaos. We are leaning into unknowns. We are trying to find value where we can get it. I have a target here if he's still on the board. I actually have two targets. I think Rachaad White's a good click here. Again, he's going to get a job somewhere. Could be back in Tampa. Could be, could be in Washington. We were just talking about they need a pass catching running back. Like, I could see Washington throwing $4 to $6 million at White for a couple years just to be the complimentary / could be kind of a backup due to injury for Bill. He could even fight for a starter's role there. There's obviously other spots he could go, but White has pass catching, which again, not the biggest deal on Underdog, but it does give you the opportunity for ceiling. And ceiling is certainly what you want to shoot for in some aspects. You can't only shoot for ceiling. That will leave you with a lot of dead teams. It's definitely a lesson that I've learned the hard way in recent times, but this year it's all about finding that balance of who's got upside, who has a safe floor, who can give you a weekly ceiling, really. Like, you want to shoot for who can give you 25 points any given week as much as you can, because that's really what you need in the playoff format of weeks 15, 16, and 17. You need big weeks, those 3 weeks, to win a lot of money. 2-hole here is just going pure rookies outside of those quarterbacks. I guess he took Goddard. Don't know what's going on with him, but having 2 Senior Bowl, possibly undrafted rookie running backs as your second and third running back is a choice, but once again, not my problem, not something that I'm going to be sad about. I think I'm going to take my last running back here, take Dylan Sampson. Again, he has draft capital. He's going to have a job. We don't know how much time, if any, Judkins is going to miss. It's not a good offense. Absolutely. It's not going to be the most fun thing to watch in the world, but definitely like getting a player that has some upside, has a confirmed job, especially this late down the board, where basically every running back from this point on is just a pure dart throw. There are some rookies that are fun, but they're not necessarily going to go anywhere useful. Again, this is a bad rookie running back class, so even if we like them relative to the class, that doesn't mean they're good. So I like being done with running back through 15, 16, 17 rounds. I think we're going to grab another tight end for sure. And possibly another quarterback. I was considering McCarthy. I think I'll pass on him because of that. I'm going to take Pat Fryermuth. I have a lot of Pat Fryermuth. Samson to the moon until Judkins gets back. Yeah, full agree. I think people underestimate how bad Judkins' injury was. It was ridiculously late. It was a pretty catastrophic knee injury. I think something that will be very telling is what they do in free agency. Do they bring back Jerome Ford? Do they bring in someone, quote unquote, better? Do they just stick with Samson? I think that will tell us a lot about what they think of Judkins' injury for 2026. If they're bringing in like a Rashad White or a Sean Tucker or someone in that kind of like second or third tier of free agency, I think it'll be very quickly time to hit the panic button on Judkins. I take him in the 5th round sometimes. It's fine. Like, there is upside if he just comes back early from injury, but there's easily a chance that Judkins is just kind of mediocre all season. Even if he's back healthy, there's a chance he's mediocre all season, because I just don't think the Browns offense is going to be something you could stomach most weeks. But you also can't just write them off right away, right this season. I thought the Patriots offense was going to stink this season. I really did. Like, I love Drake May. I think he's good. I don't love any of his weapons whatsoever. I still really don't. Like, Diggs is fine, but he's aging. And, like, we thought Kayshon Boutte was cheeks, literally. Like, Kyle Williams did nothing. He was the player we were most excited about in the offense. Like, Hunter Henry is fine, but he's Hunter Henry. He's not going to save your draft or win you anything, really. So, yeah, I don't want to write off any offense this early in the process. I think it's fine to have your takes and have your stands, but I still think there's also something to be said about, having an open mind to things can change, things can improve. I'm going to take Chris Purcell. Need some youth at the wide receiver position here. Have some steady vets in the top 5. Want to take some upside shots here. We'll definitely be taking wide receiver again. I think there are some steady vets that are going to get jobs, going to play well, going to do something for you. I do think there are some rookies down here that are worth looking at for sure. We will see what I'm feeling. We're going 2 quarterbacks. That's fine, especially that early. I think those 2 are perfectly good to fill out that room. Let's see. Chris Bell was someone I was looking at. I know he's got the injury, which is scary. Christian Kirk is interesting. Jeremy Bernard is interesting. Let's go Jeremy Bernard. He could get 2nd round draft capital. Same with Purcell. If that happens, we, 2nd round picks don't mean that you're definitely going to be getting production, unfortunately. It gives you a better opportunity for production, especially like that late in a draft. But yeah, I just think, fully agree. Like, take some rookies late. Don't only take rookies late. That's something else that I used to do. It didn't work out because I had 40% DJ Giddens and 35% like Taj Brooks and stuff like that. Like, it's certainly about picking your spot later in the season. I think in the big board, in the little board, in pre-draft best ball, you obviously cannot call your shots on these. So totally understandable. But yeah. So let's wrap up this team. Have a 2-7-8-3. We went CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, AJ Brown, Cam Scattaboo, Jalen Hurts and Jackson Dart, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, Dalton Kincaid, Chris Godwin, Bill Krosky Merritt, and J.K. Dobbins, Theo Johnson to stack with Dart, Trey Harris, Rashad White, and Dylan Sampson to round out the running back room, Pat Fryermuth to give us that third tight end, and then a couple rookie dart throws, Chris Purcell, Jeremy Bernard. Knapp at the 12 hole. Let's actually take a look at his team specifically to give it a little bit of a better view. Went 3-6-7-4. I think that's totally viable. Took Josh Allen early, waited a very long time for his other two quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Marcus Mariota. Love that. I think Rodgers plays because he's stubborn and probably doesn't want to go out on a whimper. I don't know if he has the ability anymore to control that, but I think in his mind he's going to think that. And I think Mariota has a solid shot of being a starter somewhere as a free agent. 6 running backs: Genty, Travis Etienne, Quinshon Judkins, Javonte Williams, Chuba Hubbard, Tyler Algier. Love that, especially with the Judkins uncertainty. You still have 5 other running backs that you know are going to get work. Genty is your hopeful every week guy. Etienne and Williams should probably be rotating whoever's going to be your RB2. And then you're just kind of looking for guys that can fill your flex any given week between Judkins, Hubbard, and Algier. So love that. 7 wide receivers: Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Matthew Golden, Josh Downs, Brandon Ayuk, Torrey Horton, Chris Bell. I'm definitely a little worried about your receivers. Mostly Golden and Ayuk are just very high variance to me, which doesn't mean it's bad. It's just scary for sure. Golden just face planted, to use some dynasty terms. Like, he was just god awful. And then in the playoffs, he suddenly wasn't for a game. So there's hope for sure. I don't know. I struggle with Golden mightily. I don't think anyone really has a good, strong, locked in opinion either way. I think a lot of people are just embracing first round pick with some variance. Let's try it. I think we were doing that last year with Xavier Legette, Keon Coleman, that type of stuff. So I don't think it's wrong by any stretch of the imagination. I just am going to be underweight on him. And if he beats me, he beats me. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is still good at football, but we don't know for sure. It's going to be a couple years since he's played at this point. He's going to be on a new team almost certainly. We've never seen him without Kyle Shanahan. I don't know. He could be great at this pick. He could be just as bad as he was last year where he didn't play and he was useless. Again, I think he's the type of player that you draft some of, you embrace the variance of, but also expect and accept that there's a chance that he really hurts you. Love Torrey Horton. I think he is primed for a second-year breakout. The offense will probably regress without Kubiak, but, will it become horrifically bad? I mostly doubt it. Chris Bell, love that. Again, ACL tear is the only scary part. I see now why you went 4 tight ends. You have Kraft coming back from injury, and you have Kittle that will be injured to start the year. And then a couple, I think, very, very nice later dart throws: Isaiah Likely, David Njoku. I think I was considering them where you took them on the turn. I think if either of them had come back, I would have grabbed them where you did. Like that team a lot. What is up? I need a red badge, like my shirt. Yeah. I would love to get a badge someday. We're trying, but we will keep grinding and eventually we'll get there. Alrighty, folks. Let's hop into another draft here. Hopefully Underdog does not fight me. We've had some internet stuff We'll see what happens. Going to hop into another little board, and I'll count it down, give you some time to jump in if you'd like to join. I'm going to count down from 10, starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. Location error. That's exactly what I expected. Give me a second. I'm going to have to hop on to my phone. Technology is absolutely not having my crap today. That's okay. We're going to power through it. Hopping in now. Need 7 more to start. Let me go here. Okay. Need 6 more folks. If you want to hop in, definitely do so. Yeah, totally agree. I like the DK Metcalf pick a lot. I think he's certainly a little bit of variance, but we know he's good for the most part as long as he has any type of quarterback that can throw a forward pass. So if you are on Underdog and want to join, you will go to drafts. Then there will be an NFL tab. You would click that, and then you would go to the little board fast draft. I can actually show you real quick. So yeah, drafts in NFL would be the little board, and then you would just enter the 20 seconds per pick draft, and that would queue you up into this current draft that we're loading. Get back to active here. Still got 4 empty spots. You have plenty of time to hop in. And if you want to join in on the action and have not joined Underdog yet, you can join using the promo code down here, FNPLUS, FNPLUS. Once you play $5 on any champions or pick'ems, you will get $75 in bonus funds to use for whatever you desire. It could be these drafts. It could be more champions or pick'ems. NBA is in full swing. Baseball is starting up here pretty soon. Definitely some options for you. It has filled. Got Nap back in here and his friend as well, JD. I've got the 106. Again, anything after 5 feels, not as great. I think there's a very distinct top 5 here. And then after that, it's kind of just pick your flavor. But we're going to let the draft come to us. We're not going to get too over the top one way or another. Definitely appreciate y'all sticking around, hopping in the chat. Definitely continue to drop thoughts, questions. If you have dynasty questions, definitely feel free to toss them in here. Happy to answer. I am primarily a best ball content creator for Fantasy Now Plus at this point, but also love Dynasty. Was part of the Dynasty show all last year with Fantasy Philosopher. We'll see what the future holds as far as that lineup goes, but definitely still going to be involved in Dynasty here on the channel. Heck yeah. Welcome in. Spot 9. Don't copy me. And we are just about on the clock here. If JSN is there, I'll take him. He is not. Took Lamb last time. I think I'm just going to take JT. Don't want to full fade him. I think there's a relatively solid chance that the Colts bounce back. I don't know how set in stone it is that they're actually going to bring Daniel Jones back. I think there's easily a world where they turn to like a Malik Willis. They are the team that signs Kyler if the Cardinals end up cutting him. I don't know if they would go after Tua. I don't know if we would enjoy them going after Tua, but I don't think Daniel Jones is set in stone. I think, unfortunately, that injury just kind of flipped his career upside down for good. He was having a career year, and now he's just going to be a slowed, like gimpy version of what he was, at least in year one. What do I think about starting 3 running backs in a row? Love it, especially if you can get these 3. I think the early end of the turn is certainly where you'd want to do it. It's harder to do, on the back half of the board, just because the running backs at the back half of the third are fine, but kind of just being pulled up for the sake of people liking running backs. James Cook goes very late there. That's the latest I've seen him go. This will be an interesting pick. But yeah, I think 3 RB and then just like chilling out for 12 rounds is like perfectly viable. I'm going to take Brock Bowers. I still think he's the best tight end in football. I don't love Fernando Mendoza, but there's no way he's worse than Geno Smith, right? Like, he can't possibly be that bad. The Raiders can't possibly be that bad. They absolutely could. Unfortunately, I made a joke talking on Blue Sky recently. 2 years ago, we took 2 Jets in the first round, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Last year, we took 2 Raiders in the top 16, Genty and Bowers. We're doing it again this year, hoping for a different result. Could really burn us. Investing in bad offenses is going to burn you sometimes. It really is. We obviously cannot predict for certain what's going to be a bad or good offense any given season. We were very confident in some of the offenses last year, and they were not that good. We were all in on the Falcons. They were not that good. Michael Penix isn't that good. Kirk Cousins is even worse. And their offensive coordinator called really bizarre plays. But, there are some offenses that we can feel relatively good about. Like, as long as Joe Burrow is upright, you can feel relatively good about the Bengals year in and year out. We were hoping that the Eagles would turn into that, and then they immediately pumpkined when Kellen Moore was gone. Man, I am happy with either wide receiver here. I think they both should be second-round picks. Happy to take either of them in the third. We will see what Rainmakers does. Perfect. Love Rashee Rice. Getting him as my wide receiver 1 in the third round feels excellent. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Love to see it. We have lots of this content coming your way all year long. Appreciate it, Meatball. Yeah. It's very hard to get a full duplicate team in a 20-round draft. But still, there's certainly, you still want to be as unique as you can be without throwing ADP down the drain. Yeah. I think balanced is one of the stronger methods this year specifically, with the running back craze that happens. I think going a couple running backs early, then following it up with a couple of receivers, grabbing a quarterback here in the 60 to 80 range, grabbing a tight end in this 80 to 100 range. I think there's lots of opportunity for balance for sure. And, the teams feel the best on paper when you're done with them. I don't think you should draft exclusively balanced teams. I definitely think you should be doing some 0 RB teams if you can, because everything is so running back crazy. But you also really are going to have to just hit it perfectly in order for it to work. We'll see how that happens. I'm not going to go Scattaboo again, even though he is my highest ranked player. I am going kind of heavy on Scattaboo, and I do want to cool it a little bit. I'm going to go Devonta Smith here. Again, feel good about that offense for the most part. It's not perfect. There's still possible that it's mediocre. There's also a chance that AJ Brown's gone and Devonta Smith is the one, and then he's a round and a half too cheap. So I like to invest in players that could rise in price. Absolutely. Love Who Hames. I'm huge fan of, everything in the best ball sphere, ship chasing, Pat Kerrane, all those guys, Davis Maddock, Who Hames, Chad Candles, like all these guys, love all their content, love interacting with them on the daily, even like Toxic Tower, Best Ball Guy, Fan Speak Network, lots of folks in the best ball sphere that are a lot of fun, love interacting, love drafting. It's definitely a close-knit space. I enjoy being a part of it and kind of entering the sphere in the past year or so. Definitely hope to continue doing so and continue to grow as a channel and grow as a streamer. So yeah, definitely enjoying this. Hope you folks also enjoy this. Thanks so much for joining us. I would love Luther Burden here, but I don't think he falls to me. We will see. He does. I will gladly take Luther here. The fourth round is rich, but not a barrier to entry for Burden. Anytime he's in the fifth, I take him. I think he's around like a 50th overall player or so. And I do think there's plenty of chances where he does not pay off his ADP. That's a crowded room of talented players. You've got Colston Loveland, who I think is kind of the best of the bunch. You still have Roma Dunze. He was smashing before injury happened last year. Luther Burden came on late, which is what you want from a rookie, and he has some good metrics that you do want to believe in. But it's still crowded. I hope they get rid of DJ Moore personally, but there's no guarantee they will. I hope they get rid of Cole Kmet. There's no guarantee they will. They did just make it a very long ways into the playoffs. But you want to invest in this offense. It seems very unlikely that they're going to regress to this extent. So you want to have pieces of the Bears. I love having pieces of the Bears. Happy to take them. The 10 hole took Drake May. There's a chance that Jalen Hurts gets back to me. Also, totally, again, we just talked about could go unstacked. Certainly not entitled to Jalen Hurts simply because I have Devonta Smith. Love Jaden Daniels going there as well. Quinshon Judkins is also falling. I would probably consider him if Hurts goes here. If they're both available, I will take Hurts, though. Caleb goes. I'm going to take Hurts. I know Judkins is falling, but I think his ADP is just going to fall throughout the year anyways, to be honest with you. I think we're going to get weird / uncomfortable injury news sometime after the draft, sometime around free agency. People are going to panic and be like, oh God, is he going to miss 8 games to start the season? Which is possible. Absolutely. Like I said, it was a catastrophic knee injury. It was very late. It was kind of under the radar just because, Shadur was soaking up a lot of spotlight. Myles Garrett was chasing the sack record. The Browns were just like a bit of a media circus. So some people just don't really understand the extent of that injury, but it was bad. Like, it was similar to Ayuk's knee injury, and Ayuk missed all of last season. Probably not all because of injury. In fact, I would bet almost certainly not all because of injury, but I don't think he was healthy to start the year either by any stretch. So we will see. I think that's a great price on Judkins at 71. Again, if Hurts was gone, I would have taken Judkins, but I like the stack. I think Hurts is an incorrect price. I think he should be like a 5th round pick, and he's going in the late 6th, sometimes the 7th. I'll take Ramondre here. Again, do we all want Henderson to win this job? Absolutely. Is he going to? It's hard to tell. Stevenson's going to have a role regardless. He's probably going to be the starter to start the year. Whether he is to finish it or not remains to be seen, but that's why we build a running back room. We have to score points every week, even if not every player is primed to score as many points as possible weeks 15 through 17. You still got to get there. Meatball's going hero RB with a rookie. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, I think Jeremiah Love is that good. It's an unpopular opinion, but I think he's actually a better prospect than Genti was last year. It's close, absolutely, but Love is bigger, probably faster, probably stronger, similar production, not quite as much, but he did also have another draft eligible top 3 round running back in his backfield taking some of his work. Genti never had that. I love Jeremiah Love. I think he's the 101 in Dynasty in all formats. I think he's probably a 2nd or 3rd round startup pick if I had to guess. I think he's great. I think he's just another of these like can't miss running back prospects. And if you don't get him in your rookie draft, good luck, because running back just looks absolutely disgusting at that point. Let's see here. Got sniped on Mahomes. That kind of sucks, but oh well. Could just take Diggs again. I think I will. I like his price. I like his offense. We're investing a bit into Patriots now. Don't have Drake May, but that is fine. We are at least investing in Patriots that are solid NFL players. I don't think any of them are great besides May, but I do think that May has what it takes. I think people are going to kind of cool off on May as draft season happens because of what happened in the playoffs. I think to some extent that's fair, but I also think to some extent, like, Patriots weren't supposed to be there at all. Like, they were just coming off of a terrible season, like their defense mightily improved. Drake May mightily improved. I think he still has plenty of room to grow. Time will tell if he goes Justin Herbert route where he just kind of levels off around here, or whether he takes another step and becomes like a Josh Allen level quarterback. I think he could, absolutely. I don't know if he will, but I think fading May at his current price in best ball is fine, because I think he will continue to drop. Like I said, he went 62 here. I would still take him after Daniels and like right next to Hurts, but I think that that's like an okay range for sure. I don't think that's wrong. He just didn't run quite as much as I personally was hoping for. He still scrambled a lot, but like the designed runs just weren't really there, and I really wish they were, because he's athletic. He can do everything that you want him to do. But, you know, if you're not interested in running, you're not interested in running. ADP's Jadarian Price. Let's do it. I don't want to full fade him. I do think there is an outcome that, you know, he gets a starting job somewhere. He's a second round draft pick, and suddenly he's a great pick in the 90s and 100s. There's also plenty of options for him to be a late third, maybe even fourth round pick. He's in a committee or just a straight up backup, and he's a terrible pick. That's why we're drafting pre-draft, is you could get excellent value. He could also just return standard value. He could be in a committee but still be like the primary back. We don't believe he's a good pass catcher. His college production says otherwise. Doesn't mean that he's definitely not a good pass catcher, but he's most likely not a good pass catcher. So I don't think Price is going to be, you know, workhorse back there all 3 downs, just takes over a role. I don't think that's in the cards for him. Maybe like the 1% outcome for him, but I do think that it's more likely he's part of a committee, but he's athletic, big, fast, strong, like doesn't really have a lot of wear on the tires. So I do like Price. I'm going to mix him in at cost, but I'm also not going to get over my skis on him by any stretch of the imagination. I really don't have stacking options here. Usually when that happens, I take Tyler Shuck because Tyler Shuck is very talented. He really proved me wrong. He proved a lot of people wrong. You know, he looks actually legitimately good. Kellen Moore looks to be actually legitimately good as a head coach. The Saints aren't going to be a great team, but they, I think, are still going to be up and coming, and they're going to have a lot of competitive games and score a lot of points. He runs the ball a lot. I really like his ability to do that. So, yeah, Shuck is kind of my favorite second quarterback to take in a lot of drafts. I have a lot of him already. Definitely not his son. I don't know how old he is, but I'm pretty sure I'm too old to be his son. But yeah, it'll be fun to stream with him sometime for sure. Just took Pearsall and Pollard. Yeah, I think people get bored of names like that where you take them, but I do think that they are worth taking down there. They have solid floors. They have paths to upside still. I don't think it's wrong to embrace that by any stretch. I think a lot of people are going to be out on Pollard, and he was fine in a really bad offense. Like, he was fine. So imagine he goes to a good offense, you know. I will happily take Jalen Coker here. He is still my favorite, like, late wide receiver that we've had in recent memory. He's very talented. I think he's held back by Bryce Young a little bit, but that isn't going to change anytime soon. So you just kind of have to accept the upside is capped for Coker, but I do think that there's a lot of upside and a lot of talent. I like talent bets. It's rough getting sniped on your stacking quarterbacks for sure. unstacked as well, which is rough. Yeah. Rough, but that is unfortunately how the cookie crumbles in these drafts for sure. I think I might be freezing again. I'm back. Internet is not having my crap. Give me just a second here. Sorry about that, folks. Don't know why my internet is doing this, but it is. So thanks again for bearing with me. Should be back. Made a couple picks off screen. Okay. So took Debo right when I froze in the 12th, and then took Mendoza. Don't love it, but he stacks with Bowers. I can be done at quarterback. We are back. Even though my stream really does not want to be back, we're going to power through it. I think grabbing Golden to stack with Love is fine. Like I said, we talked about it a bit. Golden is just kind of a 50-50 coin flip. He's thankfully not so expensive that it's like prohibitive cost, but we'll see how it goes. He has a lot of different pathways to being successful and a lot of pathways to not being good enough. But, in the 11th round, most of these players are not going to do that well for you. That's just the hard truth, unfortunately. Hopefully that's the last time the internet conks out on me. We've got a 3-3-6-1 so far. Jalen Hurts, Tyler Shuck, Fernando Mendoza, Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Jadarian Price, Rashee Rice, Devonta Smith, Luther Burden, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Coker, Deebo Samuel, and Brock Bowers at tight end. At ADP, it's Hunter Henry. I do like Pat Bryant. I am going to take Hunter Henry, though. Have a bit of a Patriots stack already. Get my second tight end. I can stop at 2 if I want. I tend to not do so when it's a 20-round draft, but I also don't feel like I'm stuck in a box at this point. I've got two solid, well, one great tight end and one solid tight end. If the nightmare season for Bowers happens second time, you can still feel relatively confident that Henry will provide some points in a good offense on a team that does not have a ton of pass catchers. So I'm just going a Drake May stack without Drake May, but that's fine. I have no problem doing that. Definitely am going to hammer running back here to end out. Might only take one more receiver. We'll see. We'll see what the board looks like. We'll see how things go as we go along. But I feel good about this team. I think there's a good mix of upside and production in the wide receiver room. You know, it's more of an anchor hero running back with Jonathan Taylor, and then so far have a couple interesting shots at running back, but definitely want to get more chances at these talented running backs for sure. We shall see how it plays out. Could go Katron Allen here. Could go Braylon Allen. Already have Jadarian Price. Not thrilled about either option. I do like Jerry Jeudy. I think I'm just going to go Jerry Jeudy and then just be done at wide receiver entirely. Just have 7, feel good about it. Just absolutely spam running back to end this draft. Definitely can. Something that I did a lot last year, and it bit me, was like taking Bowers in the second, and then 18th round pick was just some dude, and like those were good teams, and they just didn't advance because Bowers wasn't there. And like I think you definitely can do this, and there's probably some amount of teams you want to do this where you just take Bowers early and one more guy late. But I think that we kind of underestimate how often a tight end can hit your lineup in best ball, in your flex. Tight ends have touchdown upside, and on Underdog specifically, tight ends and touchdowns rather are kind of all that matter. You know, there's no yard bonuses. There's only half a point per reception, so those don't really stack up over time. Like, you want touchdowns, and tight ends score touchdowns. It's not predictive, and it's fully random. It's not going to necessarily stack up and give you 25-point weeks that much, but you can get a lot of 12 to 15-point weeks out of any random tight end, and sometimes that hits your flex, especially if you're having a rough week otherwise. So running back has been absolutely decimated in this draft for sure, but you know, we have 1 we feel great about, 2 we feel good about, and then we're just going to slam the position here. Probably the last 4. If there's a tight end I really like, I might take. I'm not going to take Singleton. I'm going to take Brian Robinson. I think he gets work somewhere. Could be back with San Francisco. Could be somewhere else as a backup. But again, touchdown upside, goal line upside. He's not a great pass catcher, but not a useless pass catcher either. It's kind of just like a poor man's Najee Harris. I guess probably a rich man's Najee Harris now, unfortunately, due to his Achilles injury. But Brian Robinson's a decent shot to take. He will almost certainly get work somewhere. How much work that ends up being remains to be seen, but that's why we draft in bulk on this running back room, because we just can't say for certain one way or another how any of this is going to play out. I don't think I want Singleton on this team. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. He was going to get draft capital because of combine, if anything, and now that he's not going to be at the combine and with the broken foot, like now that he won't be able to have that athleticism pop out, like Singleton kind of scares me. He could be like a 5th or 6th round pick. He was obviously talented as a freshman. That doesn't mean that he's going to translate into anything in the NFL. See Ollie Gordon. Torrey Horton in the 17th is great. I just don't need wide receiver at this point. So I'm going to take Tank Bixby as well. If he comes back to Philly, he can be stacked with Hurts and Devonta. If he goes somewhere else, that's totally fine. Took an early dart throw with Brooks, hoping Dowdle goes elsewhere, and Hubbard underperforms. Jonathan Brooks is a very interesting case, for sure. 2nd round rookie draft capital. He's going to play. For one, I don't think Dowdle comes back. I think he was kind of pissed at how the end of the season happened for him and him kind of losing his job back to Chuba. I think Dowdle's going to go elsewhere. I don't know how much money, but I think it's going to be Chuba, Brooks, and Trevor Etienne as that backfield. Maybe they have like a 7th round undrafted guy that they chuck in there if they are not thrilled with Etienne. But again, I don't think they spend big capital on a running back. Chuba's under contract, but he's been kind of iffy, up and down for sure. I think Brooks is a good shot to take. You know, do I wish he was in like the 17th instead of the 14th? Yeah, but we are in a situation where everyone's taking running backs really early and you just kind of have to deal with it. So we'll see how this goes. Probably just going to keep hammering running back here. I love Mike Washington. He really rose in hype after the Senior Bowl. I think Washington's just kind of a good combo of size, speed, production. He could have a pretty good combine. I think there's a chance he has day 2 draft capital. I think he's too cheap, so I'm just going to continue to take him early in pre-draft best ball and see what happens. I might be wrong. I was wrong on plenty of guys last year, but if you're right, it's a huge hit, you know. RJ Harvey didn't crush or anything, but he was an 18th round pick in pre-draft best ball last year, and if you took him at a 40% clip, you probably had solid teams. Didn't necessarily mean that you were going to win anything, but again, all the money is won in week 17 in these contests, but you also need to have teams good enough to actually make it to week 17. So it's all about the balance of drafting teams that can get there while also building teams that are designed to go off in week 17 based on the information you know. The main problem for us is that we don't know anything at this point. We don't know. We barely know schedule. Like, we don't even know full coaching staffs for every team. We don't know free agency. We don't know drafts. So everything is a player take at this point and like injury knowledge. So you definitely have to kind of put your foot down on certain player takes, but you can also hedge your bet a little bit and accept that you don't know everything and embrace some variance and draft players that you are pretty sure have a job. Got a 3-6-7-2 cooking up here. A few picks left to make. Definitely at least one more running back, possibly 2. We'll see how the tight end landscape looks on the way back in the 20th. I like any of Rashad Smith, Jaden Blue, Devin Neal. Rashad Smith would pair well with Rashee Rice, so I think we'll do that. I think he still is used by the team next season. I don't think Pacheco is, but we shall see. Took A.D. Mitchell over Calvin Ridley. Didn't want 3 Titans. I think that's fair. To counter that, I wouldn't argue a Jet is going to be better or worse. I think they're in the same tier of yikes. Let me take a look at this real quick. So you had Pollard. There's also a chance that Pollard is not a Titan. Like he is cuttable, I think. He could hit the open market, which honestly you probably want for this team, because since you have Spears as well, you're kind of hoping that like Pollard goes somewhere else to be a starter. Spears competes with like a day 2, day 3 rookie, gets more work. That's kind of what you're hoping for in this particular construction. I also think that like fading Calvin Ridley is totally fine. He's on the wrong side of 30. He hasn't been good in 4 years now, 3 years, something to that effect. Could he come back and be solid? Sure. You're not like paying up a wazoo to find out either. So like I don't hate it by any stretch, but I do think that it's not a given that Ridley does anything. He could just take the DeAndre Hopkins path and just kind of fade into obscurity at this point. So I think A.D. Mitchell showed talent last year. I think we've always known he had talent. Obviously, it's the mentals with him and the overcoming personal demons, but I think Mitchell's a good shot to take that late. I agree. I don't know if they're going to sign a vet QB that makes them that much better, to be honest. It's the Jets. That's almost never an option I think is real. But at the same time, again, we don't know for certain. We can't say one way or another that anyone is truly going to succeed or fail. It doesn't make sense to say otherwise. I am going to take running back here. Jaden Blue's interesting. Ollie Gordon is interesting. That's kind of it. I think we're going to go Ollie. He probably has the job. I don't think the Dolphins like Jalen Wright very much. I think they tried to give him a shot last year, and it just didn't really work. It's possible that Ollie Gordon gets replaced because he wasn't anything special. It's also possible he doesn't. He could still be a goal line type back. He's kind of just a warm body at this point. That's the type of running back room that we drafted. Alrighty, let's take a look at our final team. We have a 3-8-7-2, kind of a wonky build, but I think it was necessary just for how the running back landscape played out once we got to that point. Feel good about quarterback. You have Jalen Hurts, Tyler Shuck, second-year upside, Fernando Mendoza, because he's stacked with Bowers, and I got him 18 picks past ADP, which is where I'd prefer to take him. Jonathan Taylor as the hero RB, Ramondre Stevenson and Jadarian Price. Definitely need Price to get a good role for this team to succeed. Have 5 shots late. You're hopeful that 2 of them can give you meaningful weeks. Anything over that is a bonus. Between Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby, Mike Washington Jr., Rashad Smith, Ollie Gordon. Wide receiver room, have a pretty balanced wide receiver room, I'd say. As long as Rashee Rice doesn't just get flat out suspended or put in prison, like I feel good about this wide receiver room. Got Rice in the 3rd, Devonta Smith, Luther Burden, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Coker, Deebo Samuel, and Jerry Jeudy. Tight end, we only have 2. We went Brock Bowers, Hunter Henry. Feel very good about that. Let's take a look at a couple friends teams here. This will probably be it, I'd say, with my internet continuing to hate me. Probably pushing my luck doing 2 drafts already. I think 3 would truly be too much, but we've got Big Blue Nation here, 3674. Like the quarterback room, Daniels, Love, Bryce Young. Good combo of upside, stability. I think Washington has a good chance to bounce back offensively. Jordan Love, I think, is good, and his offense holds him back, but maybe this year will be different. Probably not, but maybe. As he mentioned, a hero rookie running back build. Love it. Haha. With Jeremiah Love, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Jonathan Brooks, Katron Allen, Keaton Mitchell. Definitely a thinner room, but that's how hero works. You're making the sacrifice at the running back position and trying to hit via volume, and everything else you're trying to be strong in. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra, Teneroy McMillan, Mekhi Lemon, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden, A.D. Mitchell, Malik Washington. Like that 7, it's a good combo of floor, ceiling, projection, upside, a good mix all around. Tight end, Colston Loveland, Dalton Kincaid, TJ Hawkinson, and Eli Stowers. Stowers, I don't actually remember. I love Stowers. I've moved him to my tight end 2 in the class. He's probably one of the only dynasty rookie 2nd round picks that I have any interest in whatsoever. Hopefully he gets a good landing spot. I will say, I think my one critique would be Hawkinson. If you were going to take him, I wouldn't have taken Stowers. If you were targeting Stowers, I wouldn't have taken Hawkinson. I think I would have rather had a 7th running back if I was drafting this team, but again, don't think it's wrong. Like we just talked about, tight end can hit the flex. It's possible Stowers doesn't give you anything and Hawkinson doesn't give you anything. It's possible both of you give you something. So that's why we draft, just to see how things play out. But otherwise, really like the team. I think it's very well constructed. Appreciate you joining in and hopping in that second draft with us and all these questions. Appreciate it, Kelly. Have a great Sunday. It feels weird to not be having football, but hey, the combine's in a week, so we're already kind of in it. Last thing before we get out of here, review Nap's team. Thanks for being in both drafts with us. Thanks for commenting. Really appreciate it. Went 3-6-8-3. Jackson Dart, CJ Stroud, Mac Jones. I really hope Mac Jones is traded to a team where he's a starter. In the little board, big board pre-draft season, we don't know for certain. That's why he's cheap. I think even if he ends up not being there, there's still a chance that he has some relief games for Purdy. I think these two are totally fine to get you there, even if Jones somehow is a 0 all year. So I don't hate that at all. 6 running backs. A lot of talent here. Bijan at 2, which is already nice. He's pretty much always the one. Breece Hall, Cam Scattaboo, Quinshon Judkins, Rico Dowdle, Sean Tucker. You've got 6 guys with jobs. An uber talented running back early. Breece Hall, if he gets a good landing spot, you're sitting pretty. I think Scattaboo's going to be fully healthy going into this season. Even if he's not, even if both he and Judkins have slow starts, I think Dowdle gets work somewhere. I think Sean Tucker gets work somewhere. So love that running back room. Wide receiver room, you've got Nico Collins stacked with CJ Stroud. You've got Terry McLaurin, who I think is a good pick at that value. DJ Moore. Honestly don't know what we're hoping for with DJ Moore. Obviously Chicago's a good offense, but it's so crowded that I'm not sure if we actually want him to leave or not, but he's still talented. I think folks are just kind of bored of him. So I like him there. Jaden Higgins for the double stack. Love that. Casey Concepcion. Love him. Think he's fun. Really hope he gets first round capital to a good spot. We'll see, but he is a prospect that I am pretty high on. Pat Bryant definitely came on late. I like him a lot. And then a couple late guys coming off injury. If either one of them can get you one spike week, that's pretty much all you could ask for from receivers that late. Chris Bell definitely has the talent to do so. And McCaffrey is in an offense that could take advantage. So tight end, very solid room. Juwan Johnson, Dalton Schultz, Gunnar Helm. Guys with jobs, guys with some ceiling, some floor. In a 3-person tight end room where no one's early, like that's really all you can ask for. So yeah, I do hope DJ Moore gets traded. I'm just afraid it's going to be somewhere awful. Like if he goes to the Jets or if he goes to the Bill, I mean, going to the Bills would be good. He can play outside, so Bills would be good. Yeah, there's some wide receiver needy teams that it would not be the best for, but he's in a crowded room in Chicago, so his upside is limited there, regardless of how good the offense is. So I definitely do think there's chances. Bills or Vegas. Bills obviously would be good because he doesn't have to play the slot. He would be the one very clearly, even as he starts to exit his prime. Raiders, it'd be fine. We like Kubiak's offense, at least. He's never going to be the one with Bowers there, but he could very clearly be the 2. Patriots, I just worry that he's too much like Stephon Diggs and that we were just going to have a bunch of possession, like middle of the field types of guys. I don't know if Moore is like a pure deep ball winner anymore. I guess he can, like he obviously did for the Bears in the playoffs and to end their season in like against the Packers. He has the ability, so I wouldn't hate the Patriots. I wouldn't say it's like the best possible spot, but I also think it's still fine. Couple more comments here, folks, and then we'll get out of here. Yeah, excited for the combine. It's going to change a lot of prices in these drafts, so definitely be cognizant. If you like certain rookies at certain prices right now, kind of as I said at the top, now's the time to take them because almost everyone's going to move up or down, I'd say, after the combine, mostly up. Obviously, you could have situations like Xavier Restrepo and Gunnar Helm where they're slow and people just stop drafting them entirely. We'll see what happens, but most likely a lot of these guys are going to go up if they test well. Let's see. When's our next Fantasy Now Plus podcast going to go live? We're in some talks for some Dynasty content here in the next week or two. We're kind of just in a dead zone before the combine happens, but we do still want to make some content. So in the works, we still are going to have our team review short videos that are coming out every day or so, every couple of days. Keep your eye out for that. Several guys working really hard on those. So we want to have some Dynasty content coming out soon, working through those details and those discussions, but should be here relatively soon for sure. Last question, and then we'll get out of here. If Wandale leaves New York, then more to the Giants would be spicy. Yeah, I think that'd be a good spot. Doesn't have to be the one. a good young quarterback that we like. You know, he's not really going to have much touchdown equity, which kind of sucks. But at least from a like receptions, yardage, like general offensive production standpoint, I do think that would be a good spot. But yeah, interesting to see how this offseason goes. Lots of stuff to talk about, find out, and get through. So excited to see how the combine goes out, and then we've got free agency soon after. Appreciate everyone stopping by. Appreciate everyone commenting. If you have not liked the video and subscribed and you liked what you saw, please do so. We'd really appreciate it. We have a Discord. Link should be in the description. Lots of conversations there. We talk about best ball. We share teams. We talk about Dynasty. We will be having lots of NFL draft content coming out. Lots of stuff in the cards here, but appreciate everyone joining in. Thanks for sticking with me through some of the technical issues, but that will do it for me today. As always, thanks so much to Fantasy Now Plus and the Fins Talk Sports Network for letting me do these best ball streams. I will see y'all around and have a good week moving forward. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.